Hey everyone, welcome back to the Liberation. So we finally got news from Trump administration about the tariffs that are going to be reciprocal on 180 countries. There's a huge list of it. We'll kind of go through it really quick on the list later on, but we'll talk about what's happening here. What does it mean for us? What does it mean for the miners? What does it mean for the stock market in general? And what does it mean for employment and things like that? We'll just kind of dive into it a little bit. We're not going to get too deep into it. There's other channels that go way into it here, but I'm just going to kind of give you guys my thoughts on it. We did have some Bitfarms news today as well. We'll cover that. Markets actually did pretty good today. Bitcoin did pretty good. Miners did pretty good today as well. So we'll look at that, and that's basically it. We'll get into Q&A. All right. So as always, you guys know the drill. Not financial advice. Return only. Do your own research. Full disclosure below that. Hit the like button. Subscribe. Helps me out tremendously. Now let's take a look at what's going on here with Bitcoin today. So Bitcoin actually had a good day today. It was up in the green at the beginning of the day at least, but then it came down after the tariffs came out. Around 3 o'clock Central Time, 4 o'clock Eastern Time. I was watching it at work, then I posted on X, hey, Bitcoin was actually going up. It went up to approximately, how high did it go? It went up to 88,530. I'm like, hey, Trump's tariffs, watching the Trump tariffs, and Bitcoin's going up, looking pretty good. And then like 5 minutes later, it just started dumping like crazy. It's like, oh, great. I spoke a little too soon there. And then I got everybody, well, not everybody, but some people on X kind of dumping on me because of that. Well, it's real time. This is kind of what I saw was happening. So I commented on it, and it was looking pretty good. I was like, man, maybe it's not going to be that bad. But then once we got all the data coming out, everything else, we'll talk about that here in a second, that drove everything down. The good thing is, Bitcoin actually did come down to its previous bottom, which was on yesterday. It wasn't bottom, it was just where it started out basically. So we finished out being down 3.15%, kind of reversing all the gains that we had yesterday. It closed at 82,490, so that's still actually pretty good. And now in the new day, it's actually going back up. So maybe is Bitcoin going to become a flight to safety? People are going to go into that, maybe. I don't know. Time will tell on it. But we're up 1.61%. We're at 83,834. So right now it's looking okay. We'll see where it gets later on tomorrow and everything else. Miners were up also today, which was nice, but they also were pulling back quite harshly after hours. Even more losses than they had gains actually today. Some of these guys, we'll see where they start out tomorrow morning. With Bitcoin being up, maybe that won't be such a big impact on those guys, but we'll see. And yeah, the stock markets are up just a little bit today as well. So that was pretty good. Miners, like I said, were up. Bitfarms was up nicely today, 6.16%. I think that was based on the news that came out. We'll talk about that here in a second as well. BitTier was up 5.8. Cypher was up nicely, 7.72%. Cleanspark up another nice day here, 6.08. Sorry, we'll talk about, we'll see what happens tomorrow. CORZ was up 5.25. Hive was up 4.5. Hut 8 was up 0.53. IREN was up 1.81. Mara was up 4.9. Riot was up 6.37. Wolf was up 3.47. MicroStrategy and the big hollers here that we have a list of were kind of mixed. Most were in the green, some were in the red here. You can see how that all played out. GME might have been buying today. We did have the ETFs buying as well. Small miners were up as well. ANY, for some reason, was up 30% almost today, 27.91%. The Digihost was up also 10.19%. Really good day for those. The ETFs were in the green also. And then one of you guys had requested yesterday that I put an overlay of the chart on the M2 money, global money to supply, and how that actually compares to the miners here. So I thought maybe doing it on the ETFs would probably be better. Look at it to see how they're performing. And I have this offset to 60 days on the M2 money supply here. And it does kind of follow the path of what the miners have been doing here as well. So you can see the yellow line is the M2 global supply here. You can see that that's going up here on it. Let's again zoom this out a little bit more. But you can see that it does quite follow it pretty well as far as at least the ETF, right? WGMI going up. Here you can see going up here as well, up a little bit, and then coming back down. And then we're going back up here. Prices on the WGMI was going up, and then we've been coming down here along with the price. So maybe we'll start going back up along with the money, global money supply as well. But time will only tell on that one. So I just wanted to get this up also for the request here. And let's take a look at where we are right now with Bitcoin on the month of April. We're 2 days in. We're up only a little bit here, 0.57% so far. We obviously came back down from where we were yesterday. And the ETFs, we actually had pretty good inflow in ETFs today. 334 million without even BlackRock being reported here. So we might be getting close to like 500 million of ETF inflows into Bitcoin. Maybe that does signal the bottom here. We'll just have to wait and see. Yesterday we were in the red on it. We were waiting for BlackRock. It looks like BlackRock didn't buy anything yesterday, at least not reporting here on it. Okay, so there's that. All right, let's get into tariffs here. I'll give you guys my thoughts on it, but we'll go through some of the list here as well. So Trump, more than 180 countries and territories facing reciprocal tariffs, and it's huge, right? Going down here, we have a couple things that I highlighted here. So those reported rates include the country's currency manipulation and trade barriers. These rates are, in most cases, roughly half of what the Trump administration claims each country has charged the U.S. We'll look at the rates down below here. The White House told CNBC's Iman Javers on Wednesday that the new reciprocal rate on China will be added to existing tariffs totaling 20%, meaning the true tariff on Beijing under this Trump term is 54%. Let's see, down here also, we will charge them approximately half of what they are and have been charging us, Trump said in an announcement in the Rose Garden at the White House. So we're not going quite full reciprocal, we're going half. So the tariffs will not be a full reciprocal charge on them. But here's what we have. China, 67%, 34% plus the 20% on top of that. 54% being charged on that. European Union is at 20%, Vietnam 46%, Taiwan 32%, Japan 24%, India 26%, South Korea 25%, Thailand 36%, Switzerland 31%, Indonesia 32%, 49% for Cambodia. What else do we have that's kind of high here? Bangladesh. A lot of the stuff that we're looking at here, especially in the top here, China, right? Manufactures a bunch of stuff that we import here. 54%, that's going to be painful for a lot of things. One, iPhones. Think of iPhones. Think of any kind of electronics that are built in China or anything like that. Those are going to be going up in price here. So that's going to be, that's going to suck cash out of your wallet basically going forward here. Other things that are going to be in there as well. There's also, I heard, I was listening to a bunch of spaces and shows. Somebody mentioned that even garlic comes in from China because low wages, everything else, they can create it at a much lower cost, even so we bring it in from there, even though California is supposed to be like the major one there. Other things, chemicals, oh my gosh, there's so many things that are going to be affected by this. It's going to be insane, right? But what does that actually mean for us? Well, we're going to end up paying more. Hopefully, I don't know if this is going to get worked out. I think this is going to be, they might reduce it a little bit down the road here, but I don't think this is going away. I think this is Trump's way of making it a more fair playing field. And he feels that the United States has been wrong for a long time, and this is just getting it back to a more even playing field. So I don't foresee this going away anytime soon. So we might as well get used to this. This is going to be ongoing here. But it does mean the market is possibly not going to like this, maybe, based on the amount here that's being levied on some of these guys. What does it mean for some companies? Well, like we already talked about, Apple. Apple's going to possibly take a hit, or they can maybe cover up some of the costs associated with this, but they're going to pass it on to the consumer there. Everybody else is probably going to pass it on as well on all this stuff here. So we're going to be paying more, but the stock, what's going to end up happening, I think, is maybe the companies are also going to be looking to shed a little weight, meaning they're going to be looking to let go of some people. Unfortunately, that's going to possibly end up happening here. So we may have more unemployment happening in the United States for a little while until things kind of clear up and we get more manufacturing maybe done here in the United States on it. But we still, I mean, the tough part is with the United States is our dollar is still strong compared to other countries, right? China devalues their currency and then buys our dollars, putting more demand on our dollars, keeping stuff out of whack. So it's going to be tough because everything is cost more here to make in the United States. So even if you include the tariffs here, having to build something here in the United States, possibly it's still going to cost to make more than what the import duty would be. So you might still be having companies still import it for the whatever reciprocal tariff is, because they can calculate what the cost would be to make it here, and it probably will be actually still cheaper to do it overseas still, whether it's China, Vietnam, whatever it might be. So I don't see that changing much, but I do think we're going to have more unemployment happening here in the next couple quarters. That's going to be normal. And then we'll see how things over time kind of stabilize, I think, once all this stuff is in. But be prepared. We're going to be paying more, unfortunately, on it. What else did I want to say on this? the market, it might take a hit on it. It already has. I think it's. I mean, market's down, depending on which one you look at. S&P is down like 10%. The Nasdaq is down like 14, 15%, something like that from where it was. We could go down even more, right? Historically, when we have U.S. recessions, stock market goes down about 30% or so, roughly, on general. That could still happen here. But the good thing is, if you got cash on the sideline and you're looking at it for the long term, when we're in a recession sometimes lags about 7.5 months or so before we actually know about it, because you get the quarterly data, and we look at negative GDP growth for 2 quarters, right? So by the time the data comes out, it's basically 7.5 months, and then we really know for sure that we are in a recession. Recession happens, that's okay, but as long as it's not a prolonged recession, we should be okay. And if you have cash and you can buy into this, maybe at dollar cost average in, if you're looking for the next 5-10 years, I think you're actually going to do very, very well, because historically when you do that, you actually outperform the markets much better that way in the long run. So keep that in mind, right? Don't get too down on yourself. Continue with your strategy, whatever that might be, whether it's dollar cost average in, or buying in the beginning of the year, whatever it is. Continue to do that. Look away from what's happening in the markets for a time being. Come back in a couple of years, and you're going to be doing much better, I guess. That's what I'm trying to say. So don't get discouraged by this. Continue with your plan if you can, as best you can. Obviously, it's going to probably get decreased a little bit from where you probably thought it was going to be, but because things are going to be going up in price, so you're going to be spending more on things, and I don't believe that the wages are going to keep up with it. So be prepared for that as well. So don't invest more than you can on it. Make sure you have enough to pay rent, lights, electricity, food, everything else on top of it. All right. But here's a little historical data on some of the recessions that we've had here. This goes all the way back to like 1857. So nobody was around then. Nobody remembers this. But if we go closer a little bit here to, I would say maybe in the 1920s, 1930s, we've had a number of recessions in the past. And then here's the duration in months. You can see here that recently they've been lasting not as long as they have in like going back here 23 months, 18 months, 17 months. I mean, somewhere even like 65 months in duration for a recession. Recently, it's been, excuse me, we had last recession that we had was back in 2020 because of COVID, 2 months. We had one in 2008, lasted 18 months roughly. The one prior to that was 8 months, 8 months prior to that. Excuse me, 60 months prior to that. So they do last about 7 to 12 months or something like that. Wow, I'm sorry. My throat's getting dry. So recessions do happen from time to time. We might be getting close to one. The banks, everybody else is talking about the likelihood of a recession happening is much higher than it has been in the past here recently. And that's because of all the stuff that's happening. Tariffs, the wars, whatever it might be, wages not keeping up with everything. It's going to happen. One way or another, we're going to get a recession here, I think. I was hoping that we wouldn't get one until 2026, but it looks like now we might be actually getting one this year. And if that happens, where we have a negative GDP growth for 2 quarters, we're looking possibly now into getting out of it in the 4th quarter, I guess, 3rd or 4th quarter, maybe, if that happens. So keep that in mind as well. My plan here is to go forward the way I have been, to just continue dollar cost average in and not really worry about it. And I'm sorry if you guys are hearing my niece screaming upstairs. I guess she's not too happy about maybe having to go home. So I apologize for that. All right. Let's see. The longest U.S. recession lasted over 5 years. Here's all the recessions on it. And I mean, the big thing is obviously unemployment during the recession. We talked about that. Here's the unemployment data that we have also for this going back to 1945. Biggest one that we had was basically the COVID one, 14.7%, right? A lot of people lost their jobs at that time. Prior to that, we probably had the one in 1981, 1982, if you remember. You probably weren't alive back then. I was just 2 years old at that point. So I highly don't recall that one. But, we're going to have that. We're at, 3% right now, unemployment, something like that. So it's going to rise. People are going to be on unemployment, and we'll get through this. We always get through this. One way or another, we're going to get through it. We're going to get out of this stronger and maybe in a better position also. So I'm willing to give Trump the benefit of the doubt that him and his team there are doing the right things for the U.S. economy, for the workers and everything else. And we're going to have some pain in the short term, but the pain might be worth it in the long run. So I'll just leave it at that and let you guys look at some other people online and on videos and YouTube and X and everything else that can go much, much deeper into all this and what it might mean for you. But in general, it's just going to be, you're going to be paying out more. There's going to be some pain in the markets for, well, markets, unemployment as well. And things are going up in price, okay? So that's what we got to look forward to. And like I said, if you can weather the storm, you're going to be much, much better on the other end of it. And then we'll see where Bitcoin goes and miners, everything else. We'll see how they do. Oh, okay. Let's talk about the miners here really quick. So the miners with these current tariffs, a lot of the machines, the ASICs that they buy, a lot of the also, even for servers for HPC AI stuff, GPUs and things like that, those are made overseas as well. I don't know if there's going to be any kind of deals made to maybe those components or those things are not tariffed as high. Maybe, I don't know. We don't have a full breakdown of the items that may not be impacted by this, right? To kind of save some money for these people. Maybe, I don't know, we'll see. But it does mean they're going to be not paying more unless there is something in place. The ASICs, with the Trump kids getting into the, Eric and Donald Trump getting into the Bitcoin mining side of things, there might be, I'm guessing, something for the ASICs coming in from overseas, from China, Thailand, wherever they might be, Indonesia, whatever they're coming in from. There might be some, what's the word I'm looking for? Not really stopgaps, but at least some provisions that those are going to be allowed or something like that. If not, then we have IREN still getting machines that are probably not in currently. They might have to pay a higher tariff on those. Cleanspark as well, Hut 8 for sure. Currently, I'm trying to think of who else is getting machines here. CORZ is supposed to get machines in from Block sometime in the second half. Cypher is supposed to get more machines as well. I think BitDeer might be insulated from this. Well, they're still importing them to the United States, depending where they're made. I'm guessing they're made in China as well. So they might have to pay the tariffs on this as well, even if they're machines that they're manufacturing there. Other than that, Bitfarms, I think, is pretty close to being fully installed. They bought machines that are still getting repaired. So maybe that may not have an impact on them. And what else? I think that's basically it. But that's minimal. It's not that much. A lot of these guys already have a lot of stuff already installed here. So I don't expect a huge impact on them, at least currently. Because, one, they don't have a lot of growth plans later on this year. But we've talked about that in the past, right? Cleanspark's at 41 exahash, whatever it is. They're getting to 50 some exahash. So they're pretty close to being fully installed as it is for this year. So that is it on the impact on the miners, I think. Everything else is made in the United States. All the components, electrical components, everything else. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that might be made overseas that would impact them, but I can't think of anything. Maybe cables for networking, but that's about it. Yeah, so everything else is going up. Computers, things like that. Everything that's made in China, anywhere else, is going to be going up. And had I known that, I probably would have bought a laptop here this past week. I need a new laptop, but okay. Yeah, and a lot of people, that's another thing I want to mention also, is a lot of companies have been pre-buying large ticket items because of the fear of tariffs. The company that I work for, we did that as well, just to get ahead of it. And hopefully, it looks like now is the right decision to make. Okay, so hopefully you did that if you do have a company or something like that. All right, let's get back to the news here on Bitfarms really quick, and we'll get into you guys' Q&A on it, and we'll call it a day. All right, this was kind of interesting here. That's not where I want to go Q&A. I wanted to go screen. Sorry about that. All right, Bitfarms enters into an initial agreement for private debt facility and with a division of Macquarie Group for up to $300 million to fund initial HPC project development at Panther Creek. Stock did pretty good today because of this news, I believe. But here's what we have on the details on it. The initial draw at close of $50 million with up to a total of $300 million available upon entry into definitive project loan documentation. Early stage investment from a division of Macquarie Group, one of the world's largest infrastructure investors. Further validates the attractiveness of Bitfarms' potential HPC data center development pipeline, especially its near-term project at Panther Creek. A $300 million facility is expected to provide the necessary capital for Bitfarms to fund the initial portion of the Panther Creek data center development and build out in a non-dilutive manner. It's not really all that non-dilutive. There is some dilution there, but it's not much. Going down here, the initial tranche of the facility is $50 million at the parent level, and proceeds will be used for project development, soft costs, and other general corporate purposes. The second tranche of the facility may be up to $250 million and is drawable as the company achieves specific development milestones at its Panther Creek location, at which time the entirety of the loan becomes secured at the project level, resulting in a total project debt facility of $300 million and termination of the initial loan. The maturity of each facility is 2 years from the date of closing, and each facility bears an interest rate of 8% per annum, with interest on the initial draw of $50 million paid in kind for the first 3 months. Draws under the second tranche of the facility are subject to the entry into definitive documentation, mutually agreed between the company and Macquarie on terms appended to the initial agreement in the addition to certain other conditions. Right, pretty standard legalese stuff. Here's Panther Creek. Right there, immediate power in 25 and expansion potential, multiple sources of power, no curtailment requirements. Land sits on, 1,100 acres, owned and operated and optioned, 35 miles southeast of 1 gigawatt AWS hyperscale campus. Also, they're pretty close to where Tariffs is located there. So that's not too far off. Contains 8 metro networks within 10-mile radius. Nice. Okay, so definitely have some stuff there. Joshua Stevens, Associate Director, Macquarie Group's Commodities and Global Markets Business, said, "We are proud to partner with Bitfarms and look forward to supporting the continued development of its innovative Panther Creek project, as well as future infrastructure that will be essential to the advancement of AI. Panther Creek is well located within 100 miles of New York City and Philadelphia, and we expect it to be sought after by HPC tenants once construction of the project is underway." So, I mean, that's a pretty good endorsement there right now. From them, going down here, there's a little bit on it. The loan agreement for the initial tranche of the facility includes various affirmative and negative covenants for Bitfarms and its subsidiaries, including restrictions on dispositions, dividends, and the occurrence of debt and liens, material changes in the nature of its business, related party transactions, and investments, in each case subject to certain customary exclusions and carve-outs. In addition, Bitfarms must maintain a minimum of $25 million balance in cash at all times while the initial tranche is outstanding, and must deposit additional amounts of cash if the average Bitcoin price drops below certain thresholds as provided in the loan agreement, which funds will be returned if the Bitcoin price returns to the previous thresholds. Okay, so it looks like they maybe have maybe they're using part of it, of their HODL stack to go for this. Maybe, I don't know. It doesn't quite spell it out here, but that's kind of what I'm getting at. Matthew Siegel had a great post on this on X as well. Kind of want to go over that because he definitely has some insights into this. So Bitfarms just announced $300 million project financing agreement with Macquarie to kickstart the HPC data center strategy at Panther Creek in the attractive PJM region, one of the largest and most liquid power markets in the United States, right? So that's good. The structure, $50 million initial tranche at 8%, paid in the kind for 3 months, up to $250 million more if milestones are met. Modest dilution, Macquarie gets $5 million in warrants now, and up to $12.5 million if fully drawn. Total dilution 3.5%, right? So this is actually not that bad. The assets, Panther Creek has 80 megawatts on site and 80 plus megawatt PJM grid import, 160 megawatts total after $50 million in G&A. Bitfarms could fund 20 to 35 megawatts of the new HPC build, or 50 to 80 megawatt via retrofit, if site conditions allow. Okay, so that's actually really good there as well. The partner, Macquarie, has previously backed Blockstream's renewables pilots, partnered with Hut 8 on natural gas-powered mining, and committed up to $5 billion to apply Digital's AI infrastructure build-out. Wow, okay. Now they're backing Bitfarms' pivot. Decent signal for institutional confidence. Absolutely, I agree there. The Comparison Galaxy is negotiating a 10 to 11% debt to fund its CoreWeave build-out at Helios. Bitfarms locked in 8% capital today with a blue-chip lender and no tenant risk. All right, so that's awesome there. My view, non-dilutive is a stretch, but 3.5% dilution for $300 million in low-cost capital from Macquarie is good execution. First, $50 million goes to G&A and early-stage work, so execution risk is real, but so is the optionality. Our work shows market still prices Bitfarms like a pure miner, which I agree. Panther Creek now has power, capital, and a credible partner for HPC. If Bitfarms executes, this could mark the start of a re-rate, and I would agree with there as well. So awesome to see that. Happy for the guys there and everything else. This looks really good right now. So they just got to execute. Big thing is they haven't executed too well in the past, at least. They got to get their act together and execute like they're supposed to get this up and going. And hopefully they can reward shareholders because of that. And, you know, shareholders have not been happy recently. So they got to get that done. But always a great write-up from Matthew there. Love following him. If you guys don't follow him, definitely give him a follow. And that's all I got for you guys on this. We got the miners here as well. I started going into the HPC side of the business as well. Trying to figure out how I want to kind of combine all the data on all these guys. I got like almost 50 companies that are in HPC AI. We got Microsoft, like Google. We got also some of the smaller miners that are only like market cap values of 10 million to 100 million or something like that. So the way I think I'm going to do is I'm going to probably pick like a large one small one, maybe a medium one during the week or something like that if I could get the data done. And we'll get into all those guys. But I'm trying to figure out what data I want to gather on these guys. One thing for sure I want to do is do the same thing like I do with the miners and get their quarterly results, and then do some CPIs on them, some metrics, things like that, see where they compare to some of the other big guys, to maybe some of the middle guys, and some of the smaller guys as well, depending on what they're doing, right? You got software companies, you got also software companies that are doing HPC AI, you got also hardware manufacturers as well in there, possibly. So it'll be a work in progress, but I think we're going to get through it, and we'll figure out a good way to kind of see where everybody stands up to each other. What are their software options? What are their customers? What are their employees? How much do the employees contribute to their bottom line? All that stuff. We'll look into all that stuff as it goes on. So it's going to take us a while to get through all this, but it should be fun. All right, that is it. Let's get into Q&A, see what you guys have to say, and we'll call it a day here. As always, question marks. If you could mark a question with a question mark or a Q, definitely appreciate it. And then the question, I'm going to scroll up to see if I missed any questions, which I don't see that there's too many, but I could be wrong. And then we'll work our way down. Okay. John Kurtz says, hey, Sab, wow. Just my opinion, honest opinion, do not buy stocks tomorrow, as Friday will be horrifying also. The VIX will be above 30 until 3 p.m. Friday. Okay, well, okay. Thank you for the advice. So if you guys listen to that, go ahead and go do that. Great title above, not liberation, Trump intentional world stock market crash. Yeah. Okay. Ethan says it has already wrecked the market. Yeah, it's been wrecking this whole year, basically. I feel like it'll be green tomorrow. It might be, right? I mean, Bitcoin's up a little bit right now as it is. It's up 1%. Maybe that was the bottom. Let's see what else we got. D-Royce fill the gap overnight. The gap, do we have a CME futures gap on it? Let me see here. Turn that off. Let's go up here. I don't see a gap on the CME futures. Oh, there is a little gap. Let's see, you guys can see it here. Here's the CME futures gap on Bitcoin. There is a little bit of a gap there, but not much. Maybe we will fill that. We'll see where we have to be at. We had to be about 85,500 or something like that to fill it. You can see it right there. Zoom it in. Right there, there's a little gap. Maybe. We'll see where Bitcoin goes. All right. What else we got here? Sarmelon says, welcome to the bear market and crypto winter. We're all trapped together for the next 4 years. I don't think it's going to be for the next 4 years. I think it's going to be, maybe this is the next couple of quarters might be kind of bad, but I think after that we kind of maybe bounce. We'll see. Or we just continue to bounce from here. Everybody's just like, okay, it's done and over with. There's always something good in the market happening someplace. It's just you got to find it. Let's see. Question. Bach and others are claiming that growth is not so damaged and recession risks so high that the Fed will cut May. Thoughts? Sounds like delusional thinking. I saw Bach post it as well. I mean, the market or the economy is still doing pretty good up to this point at least. But we have in this kind of hatchet to the tariffs on everybody else, 180 countries getting tariffs all at once. I haven't had that before. We don't know how the market's going to react. We don't know how the economy is going to react. The optimistic view would be that we continue going maybe a little bit slower, but we don't go into a full recession. And then if that's the case, we would get the rate cuts, I guess. But we'll see. All right. Let's see. Larry says, Trump doing construction can't have a clean construction site. It's dirty before the renovation is complete. Absolutely. Okay. Thomas says, when it's expected to be a bloodbath, it's usually a not dump in the morning, then green. All right. Got different opinions here. I'm about to buy the crap out of something for the next 2 weeks. I don't know what yet. Nice. All right. Neville says, thinking we go green for tomorrow on wishful thinking. Yeah, I mean, we'll have to wait and see. Nobody knows where things are going to go. George says, this is nothing but a huge federal sales tax. If prices go up on things, tariffs are going to bring in a bunch of money for the government there. So maybe they can subsidize some things for, I don't know, there's maybe ways they can do that, but they got to definitely bring the deficit in line. They got to, and this might be the way to do it, part of it at least. Okay, let's see. I'm trying to see if there's any other questions here. Let's see, Thomas says, same here, had my finger on selling all my Cleanspark shares at 12.59 Pacific when it was up nicely. I mean, they closed nice today. So close, but I didn't do it. Let's see, Frank says Trump's tariffs will absolutely crash our economy. Hopefully that's not the case, right? I mean, it's not that bad. Well, that's bad, but it's not that bad. It could be worse. He could have gone full reciprocal on us, and then we would have been in a real world of hurt. But 50%, and maybe they can. I mean, Trump's done this before. Tariffs are on, tariffs are off, tariffs are on, tariffs are off, right? Or they reduce something or whatnot. I'm sure all these countries are going to be going. There's already been countries saying that they are basically getting rid of all their tariffs on the United States, right? Just trying to get in a good light with the United States. So eventually, I think we're going to have those talks, and things will maybe go down more, maybe. Yeah, I'm an optimist. I think that might be the case, but we'll see. George says he went all cash last week. Probably not a bad idea. There is no green in Trump's world, just different shades of red. Yeah, I mean, they might have a hard time, I think. This is just my opinion here. We have the midterms coming up in, 16, 18 months, whatever those are going to be in. The Republicans might have a hard time because Trump ran on lowering prices for everybody, right? Things were being too high and things like that. And if things go up on people, that's a real dinner table issue. When you're scrounging into maybe even your savings or something like that, that's going to hit people hard. So it might be tough for the Republicans to maintain majority here next time around. Unless things turn around, that's kind of the way I'm seeing things right now. Okay. Question. Thanks, Seb, for the cover info on M2 and miners. That shows we are going up soon. It does look that way, right? So based on that, yeah, and you're very welcome. Thank you for reminding me about it yesterday. And I did put it down in my notes to remember to do it today. So want to make sure I do that whenever I tell you guys I'm going to do something. Any GME holders here? I don't hold anything, but I'm not buying anything either right now. Like you guys know, I'm strapped for cash, paid taxes. So there's that. That's fun. But right now, if things go down, I would love to be buying right now. What else we got here? Steven bought some hood. Any thoughts on Canon? What would you like to know on Canon? Canon, where are they at? I don't even know if I have them here recently. I might have them. No, I think I moved them someplace else, but I don't have them in here. Kind of followed Canon a little bit to see what's going on with them. I don't even know where they're at right now, to be honest with you. Okay, let's see. Here we go. George says countries will start putting tariffs on us, and the tariff wars are already on. We just haven't been fighting, it seems like. I mean, if you look at the numbers that are being put out there on what companies are, what they're estimating or calculating what the companies are charging us, I mean, we're just now going half of what they're charging us. China, 67%. Right? Includes currency manipulation and trade barriers on some of these guys here. I mean, there's a lot of these things here. Madagascar, 93%. Wow. I mean, what do we export to Madagascar that they're charging us 93%? Right, some of these guys, I don't even know how to pronounce that. Lasodo, 99%. Yeah, some of the stuff is just really, really high, and we haven't been tariffing them back. So what's good for the goose is good for the gander, I guess, right? So it's got to be more fair. China is protecting its workers, it's everything else, and, shipping us all this stuff that we as consumers love getting and buying cheap, but then it's hurting our own jobs and everything else. So there's got to be a equilibrium in here someplace. And maybe we find it, maybe we don't. I don't know. But it's worth trying to get to it. All right. Randy, good evening to you as well. Anand says, tariff uncertainty is gone now. We will start the moon mission soon for BTC. Not sure about miners. Okay, so you think with the uncertainty being gone out of it, we know what we're getting. Everybody can kind of anticipate what's going to be happening here. You can kind of work around it too, right? Which is kind of good. Because now you can go, okay, stuff's going to be 54% tariffs on Chinese goods. There might be some exceptions to that. We'll find out what those are. But at least you can plan around it. You can go, okay, if it costs me to make it a widget in China for $1, I ship it for $1.10. Tariffs go on top of it. I'm looking at $1.60, something like that. What's the cost to make it here? Is it going to be more than $1.62, or is it going to be less? If it's less, then maybe it makes sense to make it here in the United States, right? So companies will start doing that kind of thing. A_L, thank you so much for the super chat. Greatly appreciate it. Global liquidity already increasing again. Bullish. Okay. Yeah, I mean, there's things like the 10-year notes are coming down. I think the dollar's coming down as well because of it. So there's some good things happening here that might lead us to maybe a recovery. We'll see. All right, Heinz has a question here as well. Everyone ready for the pain tomorrow after hours is brutal. Yeah, we'll see how things turn out. Tomorrow might be a bad day. Some of these countries are the poorest in the world. Yes, they are among the poorest in the world. But if they're charging us for it, make it zero tariffs all around, right? Make it fair. And I'm sure we help out a lot of the countries anyways that are poor, which we should do, right? We're a prosperous, pretty rich country we do have some issues, but overall, if we can help, we should help. Especially, I don't want people starving. I think everybody should have water, right? I think water is one of the most important things. And then food, obviously. But that's like the basics of what you need to survive, and people should not be starving, dying because of that. Trying to see if there's anything else. There's more questions coming up here. It says, bottom is in by the end of next week. Nobody is expecting the run we're about to have. I'm so excited. Really? Okay. That's awesome to see. All right, here we go. Warren Pies posted on X that a lot of the foreign tariffs on us are not tariffs, but imbalances of trade. White House is lying to tank the market. Yeah, I mean, that's going deeper into the weeds than I'm capable of doing. It just depends on a lot of things. I mean, there's so many things that go on there. You would have to look at the laws for each country, see what the tariffs are incoming and things like that. How much are we actually exporting that stuff? Yeah, it's not an easy thing for sure. Bob says the length of a recession varies depending on its cause and its severity. Historically, U.S. recessions since World War II have lasted about an average, 10 months, but can be shorter or longer. Absolutely, yeah. And then usually we won't know that we're in a recession until about 7.5 months in, right? We need those 2 quarters of negative GDP growth. Then we go, okay, we're in a recession. Well, we've been already in one for 7.5 months. So there's that. Then things usually turn around after that. Let's see. George says this tariff war just started. I think we're getting into it, but we had to get into it. I think maybe we'll see. Is it a good time to double down on Bitfarms now with the recent news? I think it's a good positive catalyst for them. Now, the big thing is, can they actually execute on it and do what they're saying that you're going to do and get momentum in that, right? So if they can do that, that would be good. S says tariffs are already priced in a long time ago. That'd be awesome if that is the case. Sadie, thank you so much for the likes. Absolutely. Perhaps since Trump's tariffs were worse than expected, it could be bullish for the market. It can't get worse than this. It can always get worse. I mean, we're only down 10, 15% on some of the markets or indices, NASDAQ and S&P, Dow Jones. So it can still go down. We've been down more during recessions. All right. Is Mara the most undervalued based on the BTC holdings and growth? It definitely looks like it, right? It's not being valued for their operations at all, I would say. And we should get their probably report tomorrow. We'll take a look at them tomorrow when they report it. Hopefully they report tomorrow. I'm hoping they do. And we'll take a look to see what they actually mined here and where they stand. But yeah, they're definitely one of the ones that's the most undervalued. Which miners are you eyeing to buy the most? For me, it is still Cleanspark, IREN, Mara right now. I think those 3 are the top to go with. Then you can get into the other ones, Hut 8, Bitfarms, Cypher, Core, right? Who else in there? All the other ones as well. Bitfarms will take us to the promised land. Just be patient. I believe the 300 million financing is based on the actual bidding agreement with a certain hyperscaler not announced yet. Good luck. Oh, that would be awesome to see. All right. If you had to pick one miner to buy, which one would you feel comfortable holding? To be honest, for me, it would probably... I think probably still Cleanspark right now. But it's a close tie with IREN right now. So right now, it's still probably Cleanspark. All right, Kyle, I think Trump's cult members would try to tell us it's a good thing even if he drove the S&P back down to 2,000. Hopefully none of you guys are cult members here. Hopefully you guys can think independently of whether you're a Republican or a Democrat. I lean towards Republicans, right? But I'm also there's some things that I like about the Democrats that they do, but there's also a lot of things that I like about the Republicans. So it's not a one thing that keeps me in the Republican Party forever, right? But typically I do vote Republican because I want a smaller government. I want government on my life as much as possible. I'm all for the Constitution, right? Freedom to speech, freedom to possess weapons, guns, things like that. I'm all for all those things. But I'm also for protecting the environment, right? We have, I think, a duty to leave this earth, and hopefully maybe not a worse shape for our kids, or hopefully in a better place. So I look at those things, and then also like human rights, things like that. All right. What's your target for BTC? Well, depending on what time frame we're looking at. If we're looking at for this year, or for this cycle, I was thinking 180,000 to like 200,000, possibly higher because of all the adoption that we had here. But now with these tariffs, there's always something that puts a wrench in your plans. I'd be happy if we get to 180,000. This was my original goal before all the adoption that we were seeing here in the last year and a half, roughly. So if we get to that, this cycle, I will be ecstatic. All right. Not long ago, you were so optimistic saying Cleanspark would be 75 by now, but it's only around, well, yeah, it's only around like $7, $8 right now. Things change. Be adept with it. Things have not played out the way I thought they were going to play out. That is true. You are completely right on that. Why haven't they played out? I don't know. I mean, they did have a nice run up they got to 24. They got close, well, not really close to my targets, but that was based on obviously Bitcoin going up higher and everything else. We'll see where they go later on when Bitcoin does finally goes to 150,000, 200,000, where their stock is at that point, right? I don't think that the cycle's over yet. That's why I'm not giving up just yet. How does the tariff affect mining companies who purchase from Canon Chinese company? Well, they're going to get possibly hit with a 54% tariff on those goods, unless there's an exception for electronics or something like that. I don't know. So they're going to get, their customers are going to take a hit on it because they're probably going to pass it on to the customers. So ASIC prices are probably going to go up here based on all this. So we'll have to see, we can keep an eye on the ASIC prices going forward. Right now, ASICs were around, $14, $16 per terahash on the newer ones. We'll have to wait and see where the new pricing comes in at. DFly here, are your price targets still very bullish on miners as it initially was last year? They've come down. I've tempered that down, my expectations on those things, only because it hasn't played out the way we have thought it was going to be, right? The HPC AI players got better numbers last year. We have more institutions, more shorting, everything else. If those things go away, or at least the shorting goes away and the miners are actually allowed to fly, then we might come back to where I thought they would be. But right now, it's, we've had dilution as well. That didn't help too much. Bitcoin price has gone up nicely to 100-some thousand, but then we've been in this kind of downward trend here over the last 3 months where it's come down in price, right? 80-some thousand right now. So we typically, when the miners last cycle, what they did is Bitcoin would go up on a nice parabolic rise within, I would say, probably like 6 months or something like that. And we would go from, 1,000 to 19,000 in several months. We had some corrections along the way there where we had a 30% correction, and we would come down within a couple of days, get down to 30% correction, and then from there we would continue to skyrocket. This time around, we're not seeing that. We're seeing it where it goes actually up to 100,000, and then we go 3-4 months, maybe even longer. Last year was longer, I think. But right now, it looks like we're in the 4th month already, and we've been coming down, right? Kind of trading sideways, going down, going up. So it is completely different from what we've seen in the past. So things have to change a little bit. But I still think the miners can do very well, at least from where they are right now. If Bitcoin gets to like 200,000, right? If we get to 200,000, I think the miners can still do like 3, 4x, 5x maybe from here. But that all depends. All right, S. Ramani, the whole tariffs on U.S. numbers are just the trade deficits completely made up. Real reciprocal tariffs would be in the range of 4 to 20%. Okay. Maybe, yeah, I mean, well, they're saying it also includes the manipulation, right, of the money. So that's kind of why they're saying that. So things may come down here from where we are. Looks like a double bottom on SP stock price futures. I still think April, May, June will be the best performing months of the year. I added MSTX today. Nice. B82, let's see, do you track global hash rate percentage of the miners when they all grow, none gain, but the several stopping, but with several stopping, Bitfarms, Riot, others, seems some will increase percent of BTC on their future. Yeah, I do track it. I do have it here someplace. Where's it at? And we cover that every month. Once the miners report, we cover it. Where's it at? Hash rate. BTC hash rate comparison. Here it is. So we do track it. It is right there. And the miners lost a little bit in February. We're waiting for the March numbers to come in. We'll see where they come in at. But some miners also increased their hash rate here. Bitfarms actually increased theirs. Hut 8 increased theirs as well. Percentage of miners' market share. On that one, everybody else kind of went down a little bit. And yeah, but I do track it. So we do see how they are doing here. But historically, over time, the miners do increase their market share from other miners or from public miners that are maybe not public miners, but other miners that are private across the world. Okay, you can see that over the last basically 2 years, they were at 19% starting out there. They got to a low of 18.6 and then got up to a high of 28.6. Almost a third of the network hash rate there is operated by the miners that I cover here. That's not including the small miners either, right? There's still quite a few small miners that could add to it where we would definitely be above probably 30% at that point. So I do cover it. I cover too much data on these guys. All right. And Neil says 75% down since October. Are you talking about Bitfarms? I think Bitfarms down quite a bit, like 75%, something like that. SH says businesses are still doing good. I don't see any recession. We need 2 quarters in a row with the lower sales to declare a recession. I believe inflation will keep the sales numbers up, not down. Oh, interesting. That's an interesting way to look at it if that happens. And Neil says markets are too corrupt. I don't know, oil. I blame the governments. If Bitcoin drops back down to the 50s and 60s, what price do you see Cleanspark and IREN? Oh gosh, those guys would be probably at like $3, $4, somewhere around there. We go down to 50,000 or 60,000 in Bitcoin. Boy, that's going to be a world of hurt, not only for the miners and us here, but it's going to be a world of hurt for MicroStrategy or Strategy now. I mean, their average price is like 67,000 per Bitcoin. He's going to be underwater. So that's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Plus, if we get down to those levels, at that point, I think we are in a bear market. We're done for. The top was basically 100,000. We've never come down lower in a bull run to the previous all-time high, which the previous all-time high is 69,000, or actually could be 73,000 would be the all-time high, previous all-time high, right? Because we got up to that before the halving event. So if we go below that, we've never done that. That might be the end of it, at least for this run. We'll have to wait and see. All right, let's see. The numbers they are presenting are all false for tariffs. They are just presenting the trade deficit for each country. You Americans are idiots to believe it. Don't trust, verify. Okay. So, like the numbers that they are providing here, you're saying that these are all wrong. Tariffs charged to the United States, including currency manipulation and trade barriers. So they're calculating at 67%, so we're giving them 34% based on that. So what you're saying might be actually right? Where the actual tariffs are not that high from China on our imported goods, but if you include all the currency manipulation and trade barriers, that's kind of what they're getting at. So I think that's kind of where you differ from what they're reporting here, at least. Okay. Bar says, Bob, we're not helping the actual poor people in those countries, although we're helping the rich people in those countries. Same here, likewise, right? It goes both ways, I think, on that one. CBG says, had a co-worker make $180,000 this week off of a $10,000 investment in Newsmax. Why can't I have that luck just once? Yeah, I did not see Newsmax doing that well, going public. But yeah, good job for him. All right. John says, look out, communist China to retaliate on tariffs. CNBC News, watch out. No one intimidates them. Yeah, I mean, well, they're communists. They don't care about their people or anything like that. They're going to do what they're going to do to, yeah, I'll leave it at that. Do you really believe countries are tariffing? Use 94% false. No, I'm not saying that that's what they do, but include the money thing and whatever else they're including into that. That's kind of what they're calculating it to be. I don't expect it to be that much, but we're putting it on that, and I think we're going to work our way down from there probably. HWR says Trump tariffs will be complete nothing burger. It was all FUD to dump the markets anyways. Hopefully. Any views on Trump's adding a 10% tariff to Herd Island? They have 0 people, but lost lots of penguins and a giraffe getting scared. Is your giraffe getting scared? My giraffe is protected. She's in my domain. All right. If Trump loses the midterms, the federal SBR will be dead for the foreseeable future. The federal, you're talking about the Strategic Bitcoin Reserve. Maybe they can get it done in, well, I mean, you got still like, what, a year and a half before the midterms are in. So you can definitely get the SBR done before then. So I'm not too worried about that one. All right, question here. Will Mara trade similar to it due to large HODL and minimally on their operations? Will Mara trade similar to, I'm not sure what you're referencing there as far as similar to what. All right. With the positive Bitfarms news, would you buy Bitfarms now if you had dry powder? I still believe they are the most undervalued out of any miner. Them and Hive. Hive is actually maybe more undervalued than they are. But they need to prove themselves to me. I already own like 8,000 shares of them as it is, right? They need to basically prove themselves. So I would buy more depending if they come down really a lot more. I probably might buy more. Right now I can't though. Got to pay taxes here coming up. Let's see. Because the cost of the tariffs are passed to the consumer, that would be us. Yes, that's always the way it's going to work. All right. Say what you want about Ben Gagnon, but he sure has made a significant changes since he took over. He took stock of the company, laid out a new plan, and is executing. Yeah, I agree with you there. I want to give him a little bit more time, right? A lot of people are kind of dogging on him because the stock has come down, but I'm like, the stock has come down for every other miner. Right? Do you need to get rid of all the other CEOs as well there? No. But he's been in, what has it been now? 8 months, 9 months that he's been at the helm of the ship there. So give me a little bit more time, but I think he's doing the right things here as well. All right. People don't understand how the markets work. This news is bullish because they will stimulate big time. 10-year and DXY already dropping. Okay, that will be good. I hope you're right there. If that's the way it works out. I'm not an expert in the markets, right? I'll give you guys that. I'm more of a data nerd and things like that I look at, and I just try to give you guys my thoughts on where I see things. Could be wrong, could be right, but you guys can obviously make up your own decision. How's NVIDIA looking for this week? I have no idea. NVIDIA, where's it? Let me see where to go. NVIDIA, if we go to here, I'm going to go here, NVIDIA. Now, NVIDIA least right now was $110 a day, closed up a little bit. We'll see where it's at after hours. Fortunately, I don't have after hours trading on here. I wish I did. I wish TradingView would have after hours trading on here all the time, but they don't. They got some pre-hours trading, but that's about it. But yeah, we'll see how they do. I think maybe this one has bottomed out also. Maybe. But it might take a little bit of a beating here with the tariffs tomorrow, especially. I saw, what was it? Was it Microsoft? No, Nike was down quite a bit also today after hours. They have a lot of stuff made overseas. All right. Would it make more sense to hold Mara long-term versus other miners based on their BTC holdings? Well, if they get valued for their BTC holdings similar to what MicroStrategy or Strategy is, then yes, that would probably make more sense. But at least here in the last, I would say, 6 to 8 months or so, they really haven't been valued on their holdings that much. Either they're being valued on their holdings and not being valued on their operations, or it's the other way around. I don't know on that. So time will tell on that one. But yes, they do have a huge HODL position there, almost 50,000 Bitcoin. You would think that Bitcoin goes up to 150,000, 200,000, that would mean something. And maybe it will. Do you think Trump implemented these tariffs for national security reasons? Remember COVID, our whole system collapsed because of reliance on offshore supply chains. Maybe he knows something. I mean, that's one part of it, possibly. Yeah, I mean, we do rely a lot on the globe, right? Everybody else that participates in the global economy, we do rely on a lot of that stuff. Maybe we do rely too much on it. And maybe this is one way to also bring that stuff internally, if you can do it. Which wouldn't be a bad thing. It's just prices are going to be higher. All right. Is there a firm date of the tariffs, or is there room for negotiations which may delay tariff start date? I thought they said they were starting tomorrow. I thought tomorrow or tonight they were supposed to start. All right. Hi, so what would you buy more of here first? Cleanspark, IREN, or Mara? I would probably I've been buying probably like equally, at least recently here. So I'll probably continue to do that, buy more into them. Cleanspark and IREN are pretty close to each other as far as value is concerned. I mean, I'm more down on IREN than I am on Cleanspark. But the dollar that I put into it, those two are pretty close to each other. So I've done that in the past where I would just buy like a third of Cleanspark, a third of IREN, a third of Bitfarms in the past. I'll probably do the same thing right now because I just don't know which one. Like I said before, so many times, all you really need is just one good news story for one of these guys, and they go off like a rocket. So that's the way I would do it. All right. Also, any idea why IREN is crashing more than others? Starting to feel they are getting punished by the market for no hodl and for saying they are pausing BTC mining expansion, plus the ATM. They've been pulling on the ATM as well, so I think that's partially the reason why they're for it. But I don't think that's, they didn't have the hodl position ever, and the stock did actually do pretty well previously. It went up quite nicely here without that even. It was just all based on them having huge growth, and we may still see that from them. All right, tariff revenue will just come from the U.S. consumers, not other countries. That is correct. The importers will be paying the higher tariffs. So if you import from China or any other country like that, you're paying for it. Your company is paying for it, and then you're passing it on to the basically U.S. consumer there. All right. Do you think Hive is getting impacted by the tariffs since they do not have any options in the USA? That's a good point there. They don't have any operations here. They got some in Canada, in Paraguay, and was it Iceland, I think, or something like Iceland or Sweden? I can't remember now. I know up in the Nordic countries. So maybe that will not impact them. If they have to buy machines, that probably may not impact them. But if they become U.S. based, would they have to still pay that even though they're not importing? I don't think that would be the case though at that point. So no, maybe that's a good thing that they're not here. Let's see, this really turned into a Trump called channel. Oh, trust me, it's not a Trump cult. There's things that I do not like what they are doing. Let's see. Strategic Bitcoin Reserve is likely permanently dead. No Democrat will support it after all this crazy Trump crap. You just need a couple. That's all you need. Somebody that has vision, somebody that understands this, to go to the other side, as long as it's a good bill. All right, talked about that. All right, question. Will you expect Mara to trade based on their HODL and like the ETF or MicroStrategy and minimally on their operations? I would expect them to trade based on both, actually. I mean, operations have gotten a lot better for them. I think they're over 800 Bitcoin for this month already as it is, or for last month. And they're generating a heck of a lot of revenue. So if Bitcoin price goes up also, 150,000, 200,000, whatever it might be, their revenue is going to basically double or triple from where it is right now. So they should be valued on that as well. And their HODL position at the same time, I would think. Work closely. Right, I'm not expecting the miners to get valued 1.5x or 2x on their HODL position. I'm like asking it just to be like maybe 1.1, 1.15, something like that. Nothing too crazy on top of the HODL, but also value their operations. All right. Denny says, thank you so much, Sebastian. Always a pleasure to hear your perspective. You're very welcome. Thank you so much for coming in. Let's see. Question here. The elephant in the room is Trump or his called goodbye money. Okay. Is it time for Bitcoin and hopefully miners to pivot away from macro environment like gold as a safe haven to park money when stock market is down? Is it time? Time will tell on that one. I don't know. Right now we're seeing, I mean, Bitcoin's up 1.51% from where it bottomed out here today. So that might be good for us. I don't know. Time will tell on that one. All right. Question here. Personally, I just sold my remaining portfolio off in profits this evening since holding in September 2023. How do you see miners holding in the next bear market? Bear market is now, guys. Yeah, if we're in a bear market right now, the miners are going down another, whatever it's going to be, to get them down to 80%, 90% from where they were in the top of last year. So that's kind of where I'm seeing things. If we have a historical bear market, I still think we might have an extended cycle here. We'll see how the next couple months play out. As long as we stay above like 70-some thousand, 69,000, 70-some thousand, I think we're going to be okay. But if we fall below that, then my fear of a bear market increase tremendously more. But right now, I think we're still okay. All right. Let's see. Do you think Mara will lose more or less than $500,000 on Q1 earnings? Based on the price went down roughly $10,000 for Bitcoin. They have around 40. I think it might be less than that. I think it'll be around 400 million. I think somewhere around there. All right. Nvidia is down 629 after hours, $6.29. Yeah, they're gonna get slobbered there. Mara, make America rich again. I love that. I didn't even think about that. That's a good one. Question: my emo miners will keep falling between now and November 2025 before we bottom down. Okay. Cheers, Seb. Looking good. Looking for a good day tomorrow. Me too. Hopefully we get it. We'll see. Para says we are not in a bear market and we are not in an extended cycle. Just wait. Okay. So you think it's like a regular cycle still? All right. All right. That's fair. Let's see. Tariffs haven't even taken effect. Okay. All right. Cut up to all you guys' questions here. We'll see what happens tomorrow. Right. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of digestion of this. A lot of commentary about it as well. I'm going to listen to some more commentary about it tonight on probably CNBC, on X, on YouTube. I want to learn as much as I can about this and what kind of impacts it has on us, me personally, my family, and everything else. So we'll see. And then Gary has a question. Since miners never had the bull run they did last cycle, do you think we will get same drop? If the cycle is over with, we're going to drop down more with the miners. That's pretty much a given here. So that's why I'm fingers crossed. I think we're still in a bull run. It hasn't been that bad yet. We're still not below where I said. But yeah, we'll see what happens tomorrow. I'm sure there's going to be I'm not sure. We'll see what the markets do tomorrow, right? Let's not get too ahead of ourselves. Things may recover. Things may change. With Trump, everything changes on the fly with him. We'll see what happens, okay? But I really appreciate you guys coming in as always. Hope you guys have a wonderful night. Love you all for coming in. Be safe out there. Be happy. As happy as you can be. I'll see you guys tomorrow.